This conference is one of the lasting legacies of the Newman government in Queensland. It's true. When that government came to power in Queensland, they began a project of dismantling a whole heap of things. They called it red tape reduction. But one of the things that it did for us as advocates of social justice was it just completely overwhelmed us. Because there were bills being submitted to Parliament. There were things like the greening of bowling laws and other matters bills. The other matters are things like completely deregulating poker machines or removing this or removing that. And we were, as Jen, who I worked with, says, we were playing whack-a-mole. Like this. So it actually made us stop and ask what we were actually on about. And as a result, we completely changed the way the Social Responsibility Committee worked in the diocese. We realised that we had been seduced into being just part of the Western project and just sort of trying to fiddle around at the edges. The idea that if we just did a few little changes, the Western project would become perfect. And so all it would take was to add to some of the incremental changes that had happened over the previous century, for example, to find equality for women. So the Western project had been, we'll give them the vote, and we'll have equal pay. We'll change maternity leave to parental leave. We'll bring domestic violence into the light, and so on. And eventually we'll get to gender equality. From our new viewpoint, we realised whilst all of those innovations were important, they were actually simplistic responses to something that was far more complex. And the complexity was to do with the way we narrate things like gender. So at its heart, it was a call for us to redefine the narrative. The same thing with race relations. You know, abolishing slavery was a great thing. Overturning segregation laws in the USA was a great thing. In Australia, giving Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people the vote was a great thing. Learning how to acknowledge country was a great thing. Apologising for the stolen generations was a great thing. Intervening in the Northern Territory was probably not a really good thing at all. But it was actually part of that same trajectory of simplistic solutions to something that was far, far deeper. And that deeper issue is how we actually narrate the story of our nation. And it's not about Anzac, I suspect. But that's the narrative. When it comes to the environment, it's really important that we ban plastic bags. It's really important that we subsidise solar panels, that we recycle, even consider becoming vegans. But again, laudable, necessary, but simplistic solutions to the most complex issue humanity has ever faced. At the moment it's being reduced to how much we're going to pay for energy while the planet burns. All of these issues remind us that it's at its essential, the essential thing that we need to address is how we narrate ourselves, how we narrate humanity, how we narrate our relationship with the planet. The current narrative has produced as a necessary product, Donald Trump, Brexit, and Pauline Hanson. They are necessary products of the current narrative. They're not aberrations. They're parodies, which it's actually the dominant narrative parodying itself, even though it can't see it. But it's actually a call for us to do things completely differently and to narrate things completely differently. We live in the most complex time that humanity has ever had to face. Complexity given to us by climate change, which isn't going to be fixed by giving up plastic bags. We are so deeply entwined into the destruction of the planet that I don't think any of us even begins to imagine what it's going to take to get us out of it. This conference is about how we engage with that level of complexity and get out of the habit of coming up with simplistic solutions. It's about how we develop true collaboration, which is the only form of interaction and leadership that is capable of dealing with complexity. And it's about calling ourselves to narrate ourselves and everything that's happening in this planet from a completely different frame. It's to discover the metaphors, or to rediscover the metaphors offered to us by the prophets. The idea of a banquet where everyone is welcome. The idea that the alien will find a home. There'll be no one who wanders the face of the earth without a place to call home. And that anyone who thinks of themselves as outcast or is outcast by the dominant system will find a place to belong. A world where wealth cannot be accumulated because the Jubilee project actually happens on earth. And the church, I think, is amazingly well equipped to do this stuff. We have that magic thing called the Eucharist, which week by week is supposed to be us modelling what the alternative looks like. That anyone should be able to gather at the table. The fact that we haven't got that right in our current treatment, although the Uniting Church has got over it, or partly got over it, our treatment of sexuality and gender to those people is blasphemy. Our current use of the term Lord is also completely out of step with what the early church meant. It was actually to mock power, not to say our power is bigger than yours. We have the tools. We have the alternate narrative. It's long been our treasure. And yet it too has been hijacked by the Western project. And so my hope for this conference is that we will begin to understand what it is to live in a complex world, what it is to collaborate, what it is to narrate a different vision, and what it is to join the contemplatives, the people like Thomas Merton, who saw more clearly the culture in which they lived than the people who were immersed in the everyday of that culture. So let us dream and enact the call that is placed on our lives to have abundant justice, a place where everyone flourishes, where the planet flourishes, and where humanity finds itself dealing with complexity, and the church finds itself being a gift.